Hey everyone, it's Blake with FicheBait. In this video, we're going to take a look at the new repository web client in Laserfiche 12. We'll look at the new metadata designer as well as different usability enhancements that they've included. So to start with, you'll notice right away that the interface of the web client has been updated. Laserfiche has gone through and updated the look of all of the web applications, so they align more closely with each other. So that the bar up here at the top is in line with forms and directory server. They've updated the icons as well, so we have a new icon set. And you'll notice differences in the spacing and alignment of the different objects within the web client. All right, so first thing on the list is the new metadata enhancements for templates. To look at this, we're going to go to our name up in the top right and go to administration. And then we will click on templates. And for this, we'll first look at the contract template. You can see it already has a design featuring some of the new options that we have. From here, I'm going to click on modify template in the top right, and that will launch the new template designer. You can see over on the left hand side we have a few different types of fields. We have our template in the middle, and then we have like a details pane on the right hand side. So very similar to Laserfiche forms if you've used it. We'll take a look at a lot of these fields and different options that I'll walk through. But the first one is going to be checkboxes and radio buttons. So you can see here we have a radio button in the middle. So this field is actually a list field. If we were to go look at the fields in the repository, you would see it as a list type. On the right hand side, you can see the different properties for the field. So we have the name, we have our different options, and other things that we can select here. Now you'll also notice that a lot of these are grayed out. We can't change the field name from this view. We would have to go back to the fields or the template and edit things that way. We're not able to change that in the designer. We also can't change the options in the designer, but it does let you know what it is currently set to in this view, which is really nice. But the main thing on this one is it is a list field, but we're actually showing it as a radio button option. If we wanted to show it as a drop down at the bottom here, you can see display as drop down. If we select that, it automatically changes it for us. And if we uncheck it, it goes back to radio button. So how does it know whether to use a radio button field or a checkbox field? That's all determined on if on the field itself allow multiple values is selected or not. If allow multiple values is selected, then when you uncheck display as drop down, it becomes a checkbox field instead of radio button field. So that's the first one. The other thing that we can do is up here, you'll also notice there's a rules tab. We can now configure rules on our template fields. So if I go in and I edit this rule, you can see that we can select show or hide. And then we have the field when any of these conditions are true. So when the contract status field is 05 executed, then we want to show renewal status. You can't dynamically make fields required. This is pretty much all you get for now. Hopefully in the future they'll add some more options for us where we can make different fields required and things as well. So be looking forward to that. There's also now a table option for building and displaying multi-value field options. So for this feature, we're going to switch over to another template that already has it built in, and that's the employee file template. And you can see down here that we have a table added, which is our formatting from our formatting section over here. And we've added the emergency contact name and emergency contact phone. So again, if we look at the properties, we can see that allow multiple values is selected. And so as we would enter information into that, if we preview it, and then we could click add and add some additional information. So that kind of goes with the where we used to group the fields together, and it would show them kind of in a group one after the other, kind of like a collection in forms. We can now do a table instead. Going back to our original template here, the contract template, we now also have the ability to add another option. So if we come down here on our radio button, we have the add other choice, and then you can see it adds a field there for us, and a user would be able to freehand enter whatever value they wanted for the other field. So that's now an option as well. We can also add sections to our templates. So this is a section, again, very similar to what we have in forms. We can allow the user to collapse and expand the section. We can expand the section by default or not, and then we can stick fields within that section. Something else you may have noticed is when I selected one of these fields, there's a field label. So how many times have you been building a template or been building fields, and you name a field a certain thing and then you want to go use it on another template, but the name of the field doesn't really match what you need in that template? That's what the field label is for. So when you made the field, you can see here this one is contract status. Maybe that just doesn't match up with what I want. So we could come in here and let's say process status. And you can see over here on the left that that changed the field name. So you can do this per template, but keep the field the same name if you want to. So again, a really handy feature as you go through and update all of your different templates that you have. We can also do side-by-side with fields, just like in the Forms Modern Designer. So we have two different fields side by side. A lot of times you have different fields where it doesn't make sense to put them one after the other. You want to compact your template down, save some space for your end users. It makes it a lot better, especially visual appeal, right? So static text we can add as well. So here we have a static text field. And in here you can just come in and you can add whatever text you want. So you have a title, which is the bold part, and then the message information in there. I know that there have been questions about if they'll add like a WYSIWYG editor where you'd be able to format your text in the message. Hopefully Laserfiche is looking into that, and we'll see what they come out with next. Overall, we have the drag and drop designer, right? So in here, if we wanted to add an existing field, we have our list on the left of existing fields, again, very similar to forms, and we would just click and drag the field over. Okay, very simple. And then if we select that field, we get all of our field options that we can go through and set how we need to. If we need to create a new field, we can also do that from here. So you can see we have text, number, date, time, drop down, radio button, and checkbox. So again, if you select a drop down, that will make it so it's not a multi-value field. And then if you have your radio button and checkbox, or sorry, radio button, it will not be multi-value, but if you do a checkbox field, it will be. So just keep that in mind. And then we can also add our table. These are more formatting, so you're not creating a new field necessarily in the repository, but we can drag and drop a table in here, and then we can put fields inside of that. So if I if I go through and add a text field, you can see it automatically sets this new text field to allow multiple values because it's in a table, right? So it has to be able to do that. When I tried dragging in the inspector assigned, it doesn't allow me to do that because that field does not allow for multiple values. Okay, and then we could go through and add side by side. We can do more than two if we wanted to. And we can also do different types of fields. A section, same kind of thing. We just add it in there. We can click and drag and drop something into a section. And then we have our static text. So after you've gone through and you've created the template the way that you want to, I'm just going to go ahead and refresh this so it resets everything. There's also a preview button, just like what you have in Forms. And you can preview what this is going to look like to your end users. And then Laserfiche has also done some updates in the rendering of the templates. So we have better layouts, some reduction of white space, and some better alignment with our field labels. All right, so next up we have some usability enhancements. The first has to do with searching. So we'll switch over here to a search pane that I've already brought up. So with this search, I've gone through and just added some filters on the left. I've already performed the search. You can see that it has a result, which is a single document. So some of the features that they've added for Laserfiche 12 is the option to clear when searching. And it includes clearing all values while retaining the search that you've already performed. So in this case, I perform my search. I have my different filters here. If I hit reset filter, it resets everything to the default filters, which I may not necessarily want. So instead, I can come down here, and before I do this, you'll notice that the within folder has a value, and I also have a contract status selected. So if I click clear, it wipes those out, but it keeps my filters available for me. So that's a really cool option. Makes it so you don't lose all the filters that you've already configured, and you can just reset the values that you want to. The next usability feature is ultra compact mode. So this works in tandem with another option. So when you're in the repository, we're looking at a folder. Up in the top right of the contents pane here, if we click the change view, we can get the list compact now. And you can see how small that makes it. To get the ultra, we actually would come up to our name in the top right and click on options. And if you go to display, you can say compress folder browser display and hit save. So now if I come back to the repository and I refresh this, you can see how much smaller that makes my results pane. So that's how you end up using the ultra compact mode. It's kind of hidden because again, you have to go into options and set that there as well in order to get this. If I just switch this back to compact, or sorry, to regular, you can see it goes back. And then once I switch it back to compact, it's the ultra compact because of this setting in the options. On the left-hand side, you'll also notice that we now have an arrow where our folders are. So we can now shrink that down. Or collapse it, and we have some icons here that give us an idea of what we're looking at. So if you need more room in the middle, you can now do that as well. There's also some MFA options with direct share if you're using that. I don't have that, so I'm not able to share it to you, but it gives you a more convenient way to protect your shared files. Another thing that they've added is if we go up to our name and go to about, they've now included the serial number for your Laserfiche server in the about page, so it's easier to get to. Before, you'd have to go into the admin console, or you'd have to have the Windows client in order to get that information. And then the last thing that I'll show you is they've improved text display in the doc viewer for retaining spacing and formatting of text files. So I have a text file here. I'll just expand that, and you can see how that renders. I just copied the information from the release notes of the web client and pasted it in there. Did a pretty good job with keeping that compared to what it used to. Some of the other features or things that they've done in Laserfiche 12 is they have several different fixes, such as password policy updates, so it's updated to modern standards. Stamps containing tokens no longer have distorted aspect ratios, and a few other things. So hopefully you like this release of Laserfiche 12 web client. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know how you expect to use Laserfiche 12 web client, what features you like or don't like in the comments below. And as always, keep fishing.